Hi, hello, good morning, welcome to all my viewers from around the world. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting, coming at you guys today with a 1v1 battle. This is a live game featuring Spawning in the North, the Wehrmacht forces of IIPLIICaptainSPrice, and Spawning in the South, the USF forces of Redbeard. I'm sure everyone's somewhat familiar with CaptainSPrice by now. He's featured on the channel a number of times. Cracking player, decent with his infantry micro, and a slick operator through to the mid and late game. A player I really enjoy watching. I normally just select the top-rated live game when I come to cast a live game, so featuring basically the highest-ranked players. CaptainSPrice turns out is clearly quite a high-ranked player because his is often the top game. Redbeard, this is a player which I'm not sure he's ever made it onto the channel before, but I've definitely watched a few games of his. Yeah, he's a very smooth operator, and you know what, I have actually watched a few games of him against CaptainSPrice in the past, so I know these two players, they're quite familiar with each other. I've seen them at least 2 or 3 times playing each other, and the games are always close, tense, and even, so I'm hoping this one is gonna be the same. So, neither player has chosen a commander, and if we crack the tack, we can see that their forces are spreading out around the map, and we're going to see some initial skirmishes in the early stages of this game. However, whilst that's going on, I'm just going to take a moment here. I'll try and frame the action, but I'm not going to discuss it directly, because I'm going to take a moment here to discuss the patch. That's right, it is September the 18th today, for me now, here in England. And that means that the patch came out yesterday. So I was going to cast some games yesterday, but of course the patch comes out, I think Relic are over in Canada or America or something, so it comes out really late for us. So I thought I'd actually just cast some in the morning instead. So a lot of things have changed. Very heavy patch. The first patch since the release of the British forces. So a lot of balancing to be done, but also some other things, some general bug fixes, a few new maps, and some changes to things not directly related to the Brits. I guess I'll start with the maps. We've got 5 new maps, and they're pretty much, I think, all returning maps from Company of Heroes 1. We've got Sersdorf, Eclectic Fields, Archelocus River, Montherm, and Red Ball Express. So veteran players who used to play Company of Heroes 1 probably going to remember at least a few of those names, with hopefully good memories, because these are maps that I've not yet played, so I can't really judge. Actually, I lie, I've played Red Ball Express, and it seemed okay, seemed pretty fun. I also played, I think it was Montherm, and yeah, it was okay. Yep, that's a thing that's happening. Cold tech is now going to be gone, so there's going to be no blizzards, no freezing to death on the winter maps. Now, my sources say that about 1/3 of the community really likes the winter tech, and the other 2/3, so the majority, really hated it and just spent all their vetoes on the winter maps. I myself fall into that second camp. I didn't really like the winter maps. I just felt it got in the way of the game. I didn't really feel like it opened up that many tactical possibilities once you get used to the sort of the line of sight restrictions and the cold tech and so on. I just felt it slowed the game down and made it more of a hassle to play. So I gotta say I'm happy with that change from Relic. I know it's not to everybody's taste, and you know, but whatever. Now at least we have slightly more consistent matchmaking, and also it's not going to skew the vetoes, because a lot of people were just vetoing the winter maps rather than vetoing maps that were actually bad for them or for their faction. So I think that the vetoes are going to be a lot more interestingly distributed. Let's put it that way. Let's see. There's been some slight adjustments to the layout of the UI HUD, which is nice. For example, the player here whose name is not cut off behind this anymore, so that's nice. A little bit of fine-tuning there from Relic. That's pretty good. And yeah, so there've been various balance changes to all 4 factions. Quite heavy changes, in fact. Noticeably for USF, the Sherman and the EZ8 have been buffed. So if we see those coming out, then we can expect to see greater penetration. And for the EZ8, I believe it has more HP and armor. I'll go check that just to make sure if and when we see them coming out. So, let's turn our attention back to the game. So, let's crack the tack map, let's see what's going on here. Looks like CaptainSPrice managed to secure the majority, the lion's share of the victory points on this map. Where's the middle victory point? Ah, here it is. Wow, so there's 2 on the right, 1 on the left. So, an asymmetrical distribution of victory points on this map. We've got a scuffle here, MG42, a couple of rifle squads here, and a couple of grenadier squads. Going at it freestyle, full swing. This looks like a fight that I think CaptainSPrice should be able to take, simply because of the positioning on this MG42. He's going to have to get these grenadiers out before too long. Oh look, here comes some more reinforcements, so that's going to be pretty good. There's been a change actually. You see, if he rifle grenades these guys in buildings, there has been a change to the way explosive damage affects buildings now. And so that's actually going to do 50%, I believe, less damage or something to that effect. There's basically been a 50% reduction modifier for explosives hitting units in buildings to reduce one-hit KOs to entire squads, pretty much, and also increase the value of being in cover in buildings. So I believe that modifier also affects units in cover, so high explosives damage going to be reduced there. So yeah, rifle grenades not going to be so hot against those guys. This MG42 is doing work, up to 1-star veterancy now and continuing to rank up as it keeps on firing. A pack howitzer coming out very early, following the captain, or maybe it just feels early because I've been discussing the patch. We are now like 5.5 minutes in. No, that's fairly early. I don't often see a pack howitzer this early. And that is going to force the MG42 out. Now, this gives me a good opportunity to discuss the changes to the pack howitzer. And the light gun has also undergone the same changes. Basically what's happened is, previously, each shell used to have a very high amount of suppression on it, but which would be dealt in a very small radius. So if you got a shell that landed plumb in the middle of a squad or hit one or two models of a squad, that squad would be suppressed almost immediately. Now what they've done is made it so each shell carries a lot less suppression, but dealt in a much wider radius. What this means is that the suppression effect from the Ligue and the pack howitzer is going to be more consistent, because each shell landing, even if it doesn't quite hit, right in the middle of the squad, is going to deal a wedge of suppression, just a smaller wedge. So after 3 or 4 shells, no matter the accuracy, you'll see the squad become suppressed. Now, that to me sounds like a fantastic change. The unpredictability of the suppression on the Ligue and the pack howitzer led to some very dice-rolly moments. Sometimes a crucial squad would get suppressed in the middle of a battle, sometimes it wouldn't, and nobody really wants to see that amount of unpredictability in what is supposed to be, an RTS. So, just going to have a sip on the old tea here. English breakfast, the tea of choice at the moment. Makes sense, seeing as how I did just have breakfast, and I am in England, and it is the morning. So, anyway, yeah, pack howitzer's still doing some work here. Did it get any kills yet? Yeah, 1 kill, and some veterancy coming up. Just going to be flumping this building, and not doing as much damage as you might expect, so probably those explosive changes coming into effect there. Scuffle in mid here, as we see a lot of rear echelon squads, and this is a similar style to what CaptainSPrice uses when he plays as USF. A lot of rear echelons coming out. He's given them BARs, and he's actually using them to reasonably decent effects. You get a lot of map presence out of them because they're very cheap. I believe they're only 160 manpower per squad to call in, which actually is, that's fantastically reasonable, isn't it? Now, riflemen, let me just see. I actually printed off the patch notes, so I do have them here. I'm able to flick through. Let me just go to the American changes here and overview some of the changes which have occurred to the rifles, because I believe that they have been buffed considerably. Let me just check. Somebody's got a flamethrower. Ah, here we go. And so let me see. Riflemen, here we go. So, and I quote from Relic. We are adding more survivability to riflemen at Veterancy 3 to help them scale into the late game more. Veterancy 3 now grants reduced received accuracy by 25%. That effectively means that rifleman squads hitting Veterancy 3 are going to be 25% more durable against most things, not against explosives and so on. But that's the same buff which was responsible for making Volksgrenadiers such monsters early on before they changed that. And so there is some concern in the community that this is going to make riflemen too strong, and we're going to have to wait and see. Personally, I think that riflemen are very good in the early mid-game. I don't think that they scale particularly well into the late game, even if you gave them bazookas. And I think that this change should actually make them monsters in the late game. And if there's one team whose infantry need to be monsters in the late game, it's pretty much the US. They're paying 280 per squad, and riflemen are supposed to kind of be the best infantry out there, certainly on a 1-for-1 basis. So, I quite like that change. So we'll have to see if Redbeard can get a rifleman squad up to 3-star veterancy. That will be interesting to observe. Right flank here, getting pushed quite hard now as Redbeard's forces flanking out. He's got 2 squads of riflemen, a captain, and a squad of rear echelons, taking on just a grenadier squad and some storm pioneers. The pack howitzer is raining shots in, a little bit close to his own men there. And CaptainSPrice going to have to yield this point for now, and that's a crucial fuel point, and that's going to change things. CaptainSPrice already behind on fuel at 17 under 26, owing to the fact that Redbeard owns the left-hand side of the map. He's pushing up real hard here, actually. Squad of rear echelons, no, 2 squads of rear echelons, able to secure the victory point, the fuel point, and make a big land grab. And CaptainSPrice finding himself in a little bit of a tough situation here. If we look at the top left and top right of the screen here, we can see a decent force distribution for both teams, but most of CaptainSPrice's are focused in this area around his base and just to the right of it. Panzer Grenadier is going to come forward here. That should change things a bit on the right flank, though. We'll see if they're able to push out. Meanwhile, a flamethrower squad displaces the rear echelons on the left, so CaptainSPrice responding nicely, able to able to buy himself a bit more space, able to show some strength in the face of these forces. Wow, these riflemen do great damage to the Panzer Grenadiers crossing the open and falling back in good order with just one loss. Excellent work there, trading for as much damage as they could and falling back at the crucial moment. The Pack Howitzer has these poor Grenadiers suppressed, and the suppressing there, you can see, they were suppressed well before a hit landed in the middle of them and killed a man, so probably those changes, or maybe it's just observer bias and I'm looking for those changes, but whatever. The Pack Howitzer suppression there, functioning differently now, that is for sure. Coming up to 1-star veterancy as well, I believe they may have changed the veterancy. No, they've only changed the veterancy on the lag. Well, I'll discuss that another time, but we do have a Stuart light tank coming out. And that's going to find these Grenadiers who now have the Gewehr. Oh yes, interestingly enough, I noticed this earlier, but didn't comment on it. CaptainSPrice has gone for a very underused and fairly rarely seen commander in my book. Now this is a command that I quite like, it's the Jaeger infantry one. So, to review, he gets ambush camouflage on his infantry, useful but underused. Jaeger light infantry upgrade, now I've seen this being used a fair amount and it is quite good actually. The 2 Gewehrs are very useful. Tactical movement for just 40 gives you 30 seconds of increased movement speed for all your infantry forces. And that, to me, is a bargain, and it feels great every time you use that ability. I believe it only costs 40, yeah, just 40. He also has the light artillery barrage, which is a fine call-in to use munitions. It arrives reasonably quickly, saturates an area quite for a short duration but with a high number of small shells. And finally, he gets one additional munitions dump, the Stuka close air support, which with correct timing and used in a good spot can actually bring the end of an enemy vehicle or hammer their infantry. It's just a useful, flexible, but expensive call-in. I believe it's no, it's 200. Wow. So quite an expensive call-in there. Captain going to run up against these Grenadiers here, who are in heavy cover now with the 2 bazookas. He does have a Tommy gun in that squad, so the captain's going to take this. Captain Price is going to have to pull that squad back, and he does. So that's all in order there. Captain Price still fighting in a deficit position, and he's still ahead at the moment by 6 victory points. So that speaks to his early game dominance as we move just past the 12-minute mark now, and we could start seeing some fuel investments for the Axis player start coming in. Now let's have a look at how his teching's going. He's gone to escalate to battle phase 2, and he has constructed the support armor core. He has the option to build an Ostwind or a Stug now, or he could save for a Panzer IV, but I think it's going to be one of those, owing to the fact that his commander has no fuel-based call-ins, no Panzer Command tank, nothing, no funny business going on there. So we're going to be seeing straightforward Tier 2, Tier 3 German units being used here, which is nice, it's refreshing in a way, and I quite like to see what Captain Price makes of it. Oh dear, these Storm Pioneers could be squad wipe. There is a BAR firing at this man. Oh no, he goes down, that is cruel. I don't think that was particularly unlucky though, I think that was going to be the case. BAR quite potent, and the Stuart now actually hasn't done that much work if you look at the amount of experience on the unit, but helping to secure. And if you look at the mini-map, I'll tell you what, let's crack the tack, let's enlarge the map. Now, that is a problem. Like, look at how much ground Redbeard is able to command. Captain Price right up against it, down to just 4 units against many more. Well, okay, slightly more than 4, but down to quite a few units, down to very few units, it feels like. Now here comes a Pack gun, that's going to help push the Stuart away, or at least make it a little bit more scarce. Although the Pack Howitzer can counter that. Oh, it gets set up in a great position. The Stuart needs to start moving now. If it doesn't start moving before this next shot hits, in case it does. Oh, okay, and a lucky miss there. The Stuart's going to be just fine. Is there going to be a third shot coming out? Yeah, there is, but it's a miss. I think that was an attack ground round from from CaptainSPrice there. And the Ostwind is going to be the fuel choice. Wow, okay, didn't expect this. So the Ostwind costs only 100 fuel. So a budget tank there. Oh, I didn't realise it was 100 fuel, I thought it was 115. Oh, so it's the same price as the Centaur. Oh, well that makes me feel slightly better about the fact that the Centaur is so damn tough and deals so much damage, because the Ostwind is faster, so that's kind of that's a sweet trade-off actually. So that makes me feel a bit better about the balance between the Centaur and the Ostwind. Anyway, MG42 coming back out. Is there a structure or something he's going to look to garrison? No, he's probably just going to chuck him in this light cover here, have him cover through the fence. The Stuart's being repaired by the vehicle crew. Now, if you guys remember in the recent game between, I think it was maybe OMG Pop and Captain Price, there was a rather hilarious moment. Spoilers, because if you haven't watched that game on my channel, I'm about to tell you what happened. It was really quite funny. Captain Price was basically behind the whole game, but managed to somehow ninja in with a squad of Grenadiers and ambush a repairing Sherman and his crew. Got a flump onto the, got a rifle grenade onto the vehicle crew. The Ostwind here is just going to bully the Stuart, and then managed to jump in with the Grenadiers and steal the Sherman, and prompting pretty much a rage quit by his opponent. Which I got to say, I love it. Those are the kind of moments that make video gaming pretty entertaining. And yep. So Captain Price, you know, no vehicle crew repair is safe. CaptainSPrice, bit of a ninja. So, and I suspect what he did to find that repairing Sherman on that game was scroll around in the fog of war. You hear that repairing noise? Like, you can just hear it. If you guys have got stereo speakers, you'll be hearing this the same as I am. So I move this around the screen, you can hear those guys repairing, and you can hear that even in fog of war. So CaptainSPrice, no stranger to locating where his opponent's vehicles are repairing in fog of war, and I'm doing his best to abuse that. So anyway, able to secure a bit more ground, almost has the left flank to himself, but here come two units, two squads of riflemen, one with BAR, going to come out to answer. These grenadiers caught in the open, they're going to need to grab some cover immediately, and their friends, if they want to take this fight, are going to have to come across. But you know what, he's probably just going to trade for time with these guys, whilst decapping the munitions point on the left, and that's fine, but he's trailing now by like 62 tickets, is CaptainSPrice. So he's going to need to be careful. He has this point well fortified for now, but he needs to push and take another. Trouble is, Redbeard has this area on lockdown. He's got the M1 here. That's going to push the Ostwind away. Or is it called an M10? No, it's an M1. Good. I always get that wrong. The American anti-tank. And the Stuart is going to relocate to the left flank, and I like this a lot. Redbeard knows that the pack gun is on the right flank, so the Stuart should be able to just deal with these grenadiers fairly rapidly. Let's see if we see a dive for a Faust. Doesn't look like it. I'm going to switch to the action on the right flank because I can hear the Ostwind flumping in. And this tank gun could use attack ground. I'd love to see I'd love to see Redbeard use attack ground, and there's the attack ground round. Now, did CaptainSPrice see that? This Ostwind is already on 2/3 health, takes a hit. The attack ground is good at the moment. You know what, he's not even attacking ground, that turret is tracking, so he can see the Ostwind. Oh wow, the Ostwind needs to get back, needs to get way back, and he's gonna save the Ostwind. Back to the left flank. The Stuart, now 1-star vet, has pushed back all the grenadiers, but did not squad wipe them, so that is something, at least for CaptainSPrice, who still, if you ask me, is playing from the deficit position. He is a beleaguered player right now. Doing his best. I mean, he's a good player, and he's making what use he can out of his units, and it's not like he doesn't have enough units, so, you know, this game far from over, but Redbeard, able to have a fantastic position here. And this pack howitzer, I mean, it hasn't done much damage, but it has actually been doing work. It's been quite good. I'm just going to have a little sip on the tea here. And these rear echelons probably don't want to be here. I don't believe that they get grenades yet, so they're not really going to be able to threaten this pack gun team. Meanwhile, on the left flank, squad of grenadiers plucky here. The Stuart's probably going to brush them away in about a second. The rifleman squad there and another rifleman squad at the back means that basically Redbeard owns the left flank all the way up to his opponent's base. And Gewehr 43 is firing from the windows, doing some good work. MG42 setup. So CaptainSPrice able at least to defend this position. But what he needs to do is push and control this sort of area, like he did in the early game. Get the MG42 set up in this area with the lovely arc sort of covering this area. And that's what he needs to do. Easier said than done, though. Now, how many munitions is he floating? He's coming up to enough to be able to put a couple of Panzerschrecks on a squad of Panzer Grenadiers. Now, I know he lost that Panzer Grenadier squad earlier. We saw it get wiped by the BAR echelons. But it would be... might be a nice move. Pack howitzer here, just landing a plumb shot on that squad. That's going to suppress them in what seemed like one hit, so that's interesting to know. Oh wow, the Ostwind finds the tank gun, and this could be everything. He needs to focus the crew, and he is. And what other anti-tank is there here? There is a captain with 2 bazookas, so that's something, and he needs to get the Ostwind out now, and he's going to. But let's see, he should just stay and get the squad wipe on this AT gun. He needs to get it, and there it is! And now this gun can be recrewed. But that's going to be hard. Now, where's the pack gun on this flank? See, if the pack gun was just here, but there's 2 pack guns. If he had one of them here, he could attack ground and destroy this anti-tank gun, which I would really like. Now, the Stuart relocates over to the right flank. Captain pushes forward. That's going to displace these pioneers. No squad wipe, though. The MG42 in a decent position. Cracker-like. That pushes the captain back, and a pack gun's going to push the Stuart back. And it looks like CaptainSPrice may be able to make a push here. He's pushing forward the AT guns. He needs some grenadier squads or something over here. Let's crack the tack and see where they're at. Most of the grenadier squads at the moment repairing, rearming, reinforcing, so that's issues right now, as any land grab is going to be very difficult. Now, if he pushes the MG42 to just the edge of these bushes, that would be good, but you know what, this pack gun pretty much has all these 3 units here answered, because this pack howitzer, sorry, has them answered, because basically weapon teams obviously very weak to indirect fire. And, okay, here's some grenadiers. Now, why are they not moving out? They could be capping this point, they could be getting in this building, which would be super annoying. I hope CaptainSPrice hasn't forgotten about this squad. He probably hasn't, but they're not in the most optimum position there. Gewehr Grenadier is going to be facing off against Riflemen here. And do we have any Riflemen up to 3-star vet? No, not even close. So going to be a while before we get to see that particular change from the patch. Here's the Stuart now relocating back onto the left flank. How much fuel does Redbeard have? Oh, okay, here's a Sherman. So I'll try and keep the action framed here as this Sherman rampages in. It's going to get behind both of the AT guns and threaten the Osprey. You know what, and it's set to 80 rounds. Is it set to 80 rounds? It's just changing what rounds it's loaded with. I believe it's set to... No, it's on HE rounds now, so it wants to take out the pack guns. Oh wow, one of them going down. Big infantry push here. Knowing that the Sherman is set to HE rounds, but the Ostman's going to come back and try and get some damage dealt. Does some. Manages to destroy the main gun. Wow, that Ostman, man. Doing work. If he can get the engine somehow, and I know that there's a fight on the left flank here, the Stuart and things, but I'm going to frame the action on the right flank. It's much more impactful on the game. This Ostwind is doing work against the Sherman. I didn't even realise this was a thing that could happen. He needs to focus it. He might get it. Nah, the pack gun gets it right on the side, and for the first time, things start looking up here for CaptainSPrice. Needs to get these Grenadiers out, though. Be a shame to lose a 2-star squad to a Stuart in the wrong place there. Or the right place, depending on how you look at it. So, now here we go. The changes to the Sherman are as follows. Penetration increased from so the way these numbers work, it's a series of 3 numbers. The first is long range, the second mid range, and the third is at close range. Oh no! The Stuart goes for a dive into the base, and that's going to get a lot of squad wipes. But a Panzer IV is the next tech choice. That should push the Stuart away, assuming it doesn't use any of its crazy abilities. Oh, it does. There we go. Crew stunned. So should get out of there. Anyway, sorry. Back to the changes for the Sherman. So its penetration used to be 80 close, 100 mid, 120 far, and now it's going to be 100. Sorry, that was the wrong way around. It used to be 80 far, 100 mid, 120 close, and that's going to be changed to 100 far, 120 mid, 140 close. So basically a flat buff of 20 penetration at all ranges, which should give it a lot more poke against things like Panzer IVs and so on. Even against Panthers and stuff like that, it now has much better odds to penetrate. You know, it's still not going to be great, but it's going to do something. This Panzer IV here is in danger of being poked by this M10. Ooh, poked it will be. And CaptainSPrice, his entire force is pretty much on this screen, except for the Panzer IV, which is just here. So, in a very, very beleaguered position. He does have a command bunker, an interesting choice, and not one I see often in games that I cast in PvP on the ladder. But a great choice, I think, because it enables him to hold this position very determinedly. Now, what's the arc on this MG42 like? Good enough. Why is it not firing? I can't hear that thing firing. Oh, it's because the crew keep getting oh my goodness, they just got absolutely blitzed. And the Panzer IV is going to come across this Ostman, still doing work now. Oh, the Sherman, the Stuart, sorry, has been taken out. I'm sorry I missed that. Which means that this M10 Wolverine is it for anti-tank. Oh, this is a relentless assault, though. This is a relentless assault, and I think even with a Panzer IV and an Ostwind just fully massacring these infantry, CaptainSPrice, is he going to be able to hold? Now here come the riflemen. It's like wave 2 down at the rear echelon, the ablative rear echelon troops, you know, absorbing the first wave of fire. And there's an M1 anti-tank gun and the M10 Wolverine just chilling at the back, looking for this Panzer IV, looking for this Ostwind, who are both in need of repair, both sitting at about between 50 and 60% health. So CaptainSPrice, utterly beleaguered. Look at the top left, look at the top right. See how outnumbered he is. He's at 52 supply, under 69. So his opponent's army is about half, or just over half as big as his is again. And that is worrying times. Ambush camouflage being used on this MG team. That's pretty cool. Huh. I didn't even realise that was an upgrade you could get. They definitely went invisible for a second now. That's really weird. I don't understand. Yeah, look, see, these guys are shaded. They're invisible. So they must have the ambush camouflage. That is awesome. Oops. That's really cool. Pack howitzer, though, is just still being issues. Where is that thing? And what level of veterancy is it on now? Still just 1-star, but, you know, any damage it does is going to tip it up to 2-star. And I believe at 2-star it gets the anti-tank abilities? No, that's... yeah, 2-star. Gets the anti-tank ability, so that actually could be relevant because these tanks are relatively static back here, so you could actually see some hits on that. I mean, it's possible anyway. CaptainSPrice, not floating the most manpower in the world. Is he reinforcing these Grenadiers? Yeah, he is. That's good. He almost needs a healing bunker back here as well. Oh, the Stuart wasn't destroyed, it was just repairing. Ah, so I didn't miss that. Sorry, when the American vehicle crews hop out of their vehicles, they disappear from the lineup here. So that was why I thought it was destroyed. My bad. A little bit of caster error there. This Ostman now crucially up to 2-star, and that's the one that... Oh, wow, was that the AT round? I don't know if it was or it wasn't, but that was power. That's the kind of power you can't buy. That's the power of high explosive enemy tank. That is not how the line goes, but anyway. Oh wow, and I think the Osman's going to go down here. That tank hunter is going to take it, and it does. I was just saying, it just got the crucial level of veterancy. 2-star provides the rate of fire increase, you see. Oh, I don't like feeding the Panzer IV in here. Man, there's so many squads with Zooks. There's a Captain, there's Zooks, there's an AT gun, there's a Wolverine. This doesn't really seem like a Panzer IV that's long for this world. But it does have some infantry backup. Now I think you pull it back, because the attack round on this Wolverine is just going to do work, and you get chipped down by these guys. There's also flanking bazookas coming in at you. Oh, and the pack howitzer chipping in rounds. I don't know if those were anti-tank or not. And here comes a massive flank of infantry coming in at the only position that CaptainSPrice holds. He's down on victory points. His Panzer IV's engine's just gone. He stands to lose both pack guns. He's going to lose the MG. And that, I think, has to be the GG manoeuvre. There's these beleaguered infantry out here holding on for all their worth, flaming these rear echelons back to their credit. The Panzer IV goes down from a great hit from the Wolverine. And the forces of CaptainSPrice are just utterly destroyed. Yep, and there's the GG. CaptainSPrice putting up a very valiant struggle, a determined hold of this position, but he just got whittled down until basically he only had control over this screen, and then the hammer blow, the sledgehammer swung from Redbeard, and he just cleared on through, showing the power in combat of rear echelon squads, particularly when you use them to screen your riflemen by having them in front. Yeah, competent command there from Redbeard. Also, fantastically enough, using the armor company like effectively. Rather, but most people just go for go for the elite infantry, elite rifleman commander, and because he's just very, very, very good. You know, you can't blame them for that. But it's nice to see something different come out for the USF, and it's also nice to see the playstyle from Redbeard, able to use that Stuart throughout the game, transitioning from left to right flank wherever it was going to evade the anti-tank counters from the Axis. So that was used effectively throughout the game. Also, this pack howitzer, which came out very early, only getting 10 kills, but making it to 2.5-star veterancy, and basically just making life very hard for the stalwart pieces of the Axis. I'm talking about the MG42s and the pack guns, making life really hard for them. So yeah, a good game there. Nice to watch. I'm going to try and cast a game, if I can, involving the British forces and hopefully the Overcommand next, because I want to see the changes to fortifications, I want to see the changes, I want to see the incendiary grenade, which is new to the Volksgrenadiers. So I'm going to hop back into the live games lobby and see if I can find one of those and start uploading this one. Thank you very much for watching. This is Magpie842 signing out.